There's a lot of days sat on the stairs nearly crying thinking, fucking hell, is anyone going to come in? I think if you're into it, you live and breathe it, and it becomes more than just a job, you know? Like, you're constantly trying to find something that buzzes you out more than the last thing you found. Boredom's so necessary for your imagination and to think about stuff, where in Matlock there's a lot of cold grey days being bored. If normal people looked at it, they'd be like, what the fuck is this dog shit? It's knackered, it's patched up to hell, but some really interesting killer stuff.
I'm trying to get them dirty with stories, if you know what I mean, and
I could have them ruined in no time. Yeah.
Now then, what's happening? What is good? I'm Thomas Griffin and this is My Own Garms, and on this week's ep, I'm chatting to JoJo Elgarice, Steel City's foremost flogger of rare and vintage garms. JoJo's Shop Rag Parade sells a really broad range of gear with a real singularity of vision to buy and sell really nice things. I met JoJo for about 15 seconds when I was pissed at a vintage fair in Stoke Newington a few weeks ago, but I've been drooling over the stuff he sells on his Instagram for a good few years. Today, we'll discover where his deep love of garms comes from and what shapes his taste today. Now, last week I mentioned our new Substack on the outro, so thanks to everyone that's been on and made pals with us over there. We've got articles and links to stuff we talk about in the episodes, and we're working on new stuff at the moment, so go and have a butcher's. Big thanks as ever to the series sponsors Trailberg for making what we do on My Own Garms a little bit less financially crushing. Appreciate you a lot. Go and drop them a follow. It is at Trailberg Official on Insta. Legends. Okay, let's get into this one then. This is My Own Garms with Sheffield's own JoJo Elgarice. My Own Garms. JoJo, thanks a lot for doing the podcast, man. How are you keeping?
Yeah, good, cheers.
Yeah, thanks for having us in your city.
Yeah, no worries.
We were going to do it at your shop initially, but we thought that the distractions might be getting might get a little bit too much. So where are we at today?
We're in the donut shop in the retail side of their shop. So they've got a shop selling homeware and stuff.
Eve's Kitchen, right?
Yeah, Eve's Kitchen, yeah.
Big up Lauren for coming letting us in this morning. She the shop owner?
Yeah, her and her husband Ben own the shop, yeah. So yeah.
Wicked spot, man. Loads of cool kitchenware and beautiful pottery and stuff about. Get yourself down here if you're in the neighbourhood. Yeah. After you visited Rag Parade, obviously.
Yeah, double up.
So I mentioned a vintage fair that I saw you at the Mild May Club, which is, did you go for a bev in there the other day?
No, but I was just selling stuff. Yeah.
It's fucking mad gaff, man.
Yeah, it is mad. Yeah, it's pretty big. Yeah,
the snooke hall at the back's mental.
Yeah, there's loads of different rooms to it and stuff, isn't there? Yeah,
you kind of expect everywhere in London to be completely modernised now, but that's just a proper blast from the past. They've got a wicked jukebox that's got 7-inch vinyl in it.
Yeah, I don't think I ventured into that snooker bit. Yeah, I don't think I made it that far.
Next time you're down, man, go and check it out. Was it a good day for you down there?
Yeah, it's always good. Yeah, I think they've done 4 of them, and it's the third one we've done. We missed the first one, and it's usually a really good show. Yeah, it's always really busy, and there's lots of keen buyers, and you got a lot of designers turning up, stuff like that, so it's pretty good.
Is that the kind of thing, taking your wares from Rag Parade in Sheff down to these spots? Is that something you do fairly often?
Not really. I've done pop-up shops. I've done pop-ups in Japan and in London and stuff before, but usually over a space of a few weeks or a few days, but we don't really do many shows or fairs. And that one's the first one in the UK where it's all menswear, so it made me kind of want to give it a go, and it is a really good event, because a lot of time these specialist sort of vintage fairs, they're usually really well thought out and pretty good, but they're a lot heavily women's wear focused.
Really?
So it's quite nice to do one that's all menswear. You've got quite a few different ones in America that are menswear based, in LA and stuff, but it's the first show of its kind in the UK, which is just menswear. So a lot of menswear sellers get together and sell stuff, and it's a real selection of stuff from military to workwear to sportswear to more contemporary modern stuff, so it's a nice mix of different items. Yeah,
it really seemed like everyone was bringing their A game. Everyone's shit was looking immaculate down there.
Yeah, I mean, I personally think it could be in a bigger, easier venue, but it's the guy that runs it, Johnny Trunk. He owns a record label, and it's sort of that's his local club, and it's not doing it to make money, you know what I mean? He's doing it for the love of it. So, but it's a good place to have it, I think. It's a good atmosphere, yeah.
Yeah, my mate Mitch lives in Stokey, just round the corner from there. He's this vintage fashion thing going on at the club where I go boozing. Come and have a look, and as soon as you kind of rolled down the street, you saw the dudes outside, and this is a fashion thing. The dudes look
Geek
killer,
fest.
man, proper decked out. So, for those people that don't know, tell us a little bit about Rag Parade, maybe how it started and where you're at today.
Basically, I was working as a chef before, and then did that for a few years and didn't really like it. Didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I love food, I love cooking, but then actually doing it as a job was pretty horrendous. Like, so went from like different hotels and restaurants and a few places, and then managed to rent a space in town, like off some girls that had a shop, and they rented me like a rail and a shelf, and I paid like 50 quid a week, and I just started buying and selling a few bits on the side. And I'd always sort of sold stuff as a kid, like my old stuff and bits and pieces I found along the way. I was doing that, and I realised I was probably making more money doing that than I was, actually working, grafting in the kitchen all week. So when they moved to get another shop, I moved with them, and I got like a room upstairs, and then eventually let me have the old first floor. And I did that for about 3 years, and then the building was getting redeveloped, which never actually got redeveloped. So that's what led me on to getting the shop that I've got now, which was like a bit of a move, because it was like
really, a business
risk. I
risk.
suppose, because it was like really small scale. It was very easy. The rent was really cheap where I was, and I built up like a bit of a niche following.
Just on socials, or like kind of a locally?
Yeah, like more like word of mouth, and then a little bit on socials. And I started to get my first Japanese buyers coming through. Like some of them I still see today, which like sort of bought wholesale off me to resell in Japan for more money. So it was like quite a nice little setup. You know what I mean? It was like, it was low risk, but then it was going quite well. But then I knew the shop was going to get knocked down, so I had to kind of decide: do I carry on? Like, do I move shops? Like, I didn't quite know what to do. At the time, I didn't think Sheffield City Centre was that good, so I thought, well, yeah, maybe move out of town, and managed to find this shop, and just took a bit of a risk, really. I didn't tell anyone I was doing it. I just sort of did it all in the dead of the night.
Real G's move in silence, man.
Yeah, that's it. So proper just did it all, and then just like sort of announced it, like, oh, the shop's opening tomorrow, and the launch party's from like 6 o'clock, and everyone was like, oh shit, didn't even know you was moving. So it's kind of quite nice way of doing it. And so it went from there, and it wasn't all plain sailing. I'd say the first 2 or 3 years were pretty tough. Like, I think the first few months were really good, like really busy, lots of interest, and then it was a bit tough. There was a lot of days sat on the stairs nearly crying, thinking, fucking hell, is anyone going to come in? But I think that's how it works when you're doing something that's a bit niche, I suppose. Yeah,
you just got to kind of plough through them difficult times.
Yeah,
that's what I keep telling myself for this fucking podcast.
Cry it out in silence.
So this area that we're in now, is this like a kind of like going past the nice cafes and stuff? Is this like a kind of hip shopping suburb of Chef? What's it called?
So this is like, so my shop's on Exhall Road, which is a street that way, and then this is Sharravale Road. So I suppose it's like a bit of like a neighbourhood sort of place. A lot of people live around here, a lot of housing, but then there's quite a lot of nice shops and places to eat and stuff. So it's like you're a couple of miles out of the centre, and then like, I suppose it's like 10, 15 minutes that way, you're in the middle of the Peak District. So you have like a bit of a different mix of people around here, like people that might not necessarily go into town, that might come from Derbyshire way and stuff like that. So it's a different sort of system. Like shop-wise, you probably get less people in per day, but I personally find that the calibre of person's a bit better. You know what I mean? They're more likely to buy something, or a bit more interested, a bit more engaged. So it's a different vibe, I suppose, Yeah,
it seems like a nice little microcosm. Yeah, even better now, them noisy kids from across the road have shut up.
Yeah.
Yes, tell us a little bit about what Rag Parade sells then. You've told us a bit about the kind of how it started. What kind of stuff do you specialise in? It
tends to be anything that I like. So it's a mix of like old workwear, sportswear, militaria, old trainers, and then I suppose I know a lot about the older stuff because I was always passionate about that and learnt about the really early stuff. But then, because obviously grew up, at that time, like skating and stuff in the 90s, early 2000s. I also know quite a bit about the more modern stuff. So we sort of tie that together and do like a lot of contemporary stuff as well. We have like another page on Instagram, which is called Probably Worn Before.
Oh, is that you as well?
Yeah, it used to be called Rag Parade Contemporary, but I don't know why. It kept getting taken down for some reason. So it'd like get built up and then it got taken down and it got taken down again. It's just one of them weird things that happened.
Yeah.
So we just decided to give it a completely different name, and it's touch wood, it's been all right since.
I've seen that page and I thought, fucking hell, these lot of biting JoJo's shit here, man. He's doing all the hard work and Les just taking pictures of his shop displays. Like,
no, that's me. Yeah,
right.
So that's us. So we do like the old and the new. So like, and I think that sort of works quite well because I suppose it's like how I dress as well, and like So it's like a healthy mix of like old stuff then mixed in with some modern stuff. So you might be able to get like a really nice jacket that was crazy money new, second hand for a good price, and that sort of blends well with like some of the more, I suppose, heritage looking pieces. So it's not all just old and dusty. There's a bit of mix of everything. Yeah.
I mean, that is very much reflected in your own garms, like from the Nikes on the bottom, even though that's 70s style, like all over the world, military, Japanese denim, like it's a proper kind of melting pot thing, isn't
Yeah,
it?
a mashup.
Yeah, man.
Rep your ends.
We are here in Sheffield now, as we mentioned, but you grew up a few miles away from here, right? Tell us a little bit about Matlock and what kind of fashion influences you absorbed from there as a kid.
I grew up in Matlock, which is like, yeah, it's like a small town in Derbyshire. There's not really much going on. I don't know if there was any really. I suppose I travelled a lot and always went different places. But growing up skating would take you to lots of different cities around the UK, so you was always going places. I think the nice thing about something like that is no one's really trying, no one's really making an effort. Everyone was quite natural. So yeah, it was all right. Yeah, there's not much going on.
So that like nonchalance might have rubbed off on you a little bit, or not going out to impress kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't think there was any of that. Definitely not. Yeah. People would be out in the same clothes they'd worn all day.
Yeah, man. Like, you really remind me of my mate Sam, who grew up in this little village outside Chorley, where I'm from, called Brinskull. I don't know what it is about you. There's just something, but I think he's dead passionate about niche things like you are. And I sometimes think coming from a slightly smaller place where there isn't much going on drives people to be passionate about niche things because you've got room to do that.
I was reading something the other day about that actually. It was saying, it was really interested in it. And it is so true. It was saying like boredom's necessary, and it was saying nowadays we live in a world where everything is like, you know, it's like content and whatever. Like there's always something going in it. You're always taking something in. Where it was saying like boredom's so like necessary for like your imagination and to think about stuff. Where is in Matlock there's a lot of cold grey days being bored. Yeah, it does make you think outside the box a bit more.
So what were you filling them with as a kid? Was it skating first and foremost, or was there other things before skating you were mad into?
Mainly skating, I think, as a kid, yeah. Or throwing stones at buses or something. Yeah, they weren't much to do, but yeah, it was good fun. Yeah.
So in the little bonus bit, you mentioned your mum and how she kind of decked you out in good stuff because she was into the kind of punk, Vivienne Westwood, all that kind of stuff when she was younger, but she had an eye for fashion, so she was decking you out in Evisu, Maharishi, like stuff that most mums wouldn't have picked for their kids.
Yeah.
Was she a big influence on how you dressed?
I suppose she might have been in a way, but without knowing, yeah. Like all the stuff I'd pick, she'd be like, "Oh no, you can't wear that." And I remember she always used to be like, "You can't wear black; it looked terrible." And like she I suppose like. Yes, she might have been subconsciously, yeah. She always knew about like fabrics and stuff like that and like what stuff that was well made and quality, and definitely further down the line as well. Like she's very knowledgeable on certain stuff and like, yeah, very creative, very good at visual stuff and displays and stuff like that. Helped a lot with the shop over the years and, you know, doing the shop windows and things like that or finding stuff. And yeah, she's found some pretty good stuff as well that I don't even think she realises how good the things were. So because she's in like a sort of, I suppose her customer base is very different to mine, but yeah, there's a bit of crossover like these with a lot of sellers depending on how broad your taste is. Yeah,
I guess if you've got that eye, like it can translate into whatever sphere. If you know quality and you know design, like
that's it.
You mentioned she was an antique dealer.
Yeah,
that kind of translates. Did she teach you the art of the haggle as well?
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, I suppose buying and selling. I mean, I think it's changed quite a lot now, but there's like a lot of unwritten rules. So like going back to that like hardcore antique dealer background, it's very different to like some kid that just starts selling a few things out of his bedroom. Like there's a lot of unwritten rules and there's a lot of like laws that you have to live by. Like the amount of dog shit that I've had to buy that I don't want because you've called it on. So like the big no.
Called it on? Is that a technical term?
Well, yeah, like let's say you send me a picture of something.
All right.
Now and you go, Jojo, do you want to buy this sweatshirt, 200 quid? If I say yes, even if it turns up and it's dog shit and it's got holes in it and it's fucked, like you've said you're having it, your word is your bond. So like you've got to, there's a lot of that shit going on, which is something that probably quite hard to grasp if you're not in that world.
You'll learn it by being in it.
But yeah, like your name and your reputation is really important. So like if you get to to be known as a messer, like people don't want to fuck you, they won't sell you anything again. So you've got to like, you've got to stand on, as
live
they
by
say,
the code kind of thing.
Yeah.
So we've got stand on, messer. What was the first one?
Called it on. Yeah,
you need to write a dictionary, man. Like,
yeah. If you've called it on, you're having it. You know what I mean? Like a friend of mine, Amber, once telling me about our dad had done this deal with this guy, and I think he said, I can't remember the actual numbers, but let's say for argument's sake, he'd said, right, all this stuff in the van, it's X amount, you can have it all for 10 grand. And this guy was like, yeah, fuck it, I'll have it. And then he realised later, oh shit, I've got like, I don't know, 8 grand's worth of my mate's stuff in there that I didn't realise was in there. And he just had to take the loss and just swallow it and like sell it, because his reputation was more important than that loss. You know what I mean? It's not everyone lives like that, but yeah, I'm pretty old school like that. I think, it goes a long way.
Yeah, your reputation precedes you, and it's can count for a lot further down the line, I guess.
Yeah. And I think it makes up for it. And I'm not saying that you're making a loss all the time and you're fucking up, but I think like it's nice to get a straight answer from someone, like yes or no. And I think that's the best way to keep it,
Nice.
Yeah.
Your mum, you mentioned, does she still wear her punk sensibilities on her sleeve?
No, thankfully not. Yeah.
Are you not into the old punk?
No, I like it, and I think it's cool. There's actually a picture of it in an old in like a book about punk from the 70s with like my grandma, because my grandma's an old punk. My grandma does. She wears like head to toe like Vivienne Westwood and stuff.
Wow.
And like Gaultier and all wild stuff. And it kind of makes my mum a bit sick. She's like, oh God, she's wearing it again. Because I think it's cool to wear all that stuff, but I think there becomes a time when you've got to move on as well, It's like people that wear head to toe 1940s gear. They're trying to be original, but they look like they just stepped out of a photograph, and it's very rigid, And I
costume,
think, yeah, I think that's what the Japanese have always been so good at. They take the old stuff, like you'll see guys in Japan and they might be wearing like some super old rare Levi's jacket or some really old workwear from 1910, but they'll be wearing it with some modern sneakers or a modern jacket, and they'll mix it up and they'll create a new look out of the old. And I think that's what they're like. They've been like pioneers in for like many years, and it's a bit more natural looking, not as coaxed in.
Yeah, I guess like your mum's always going to react to her mum, do the opposite, and then you're going to kind of rebel a bit against your mum. It's just natural, isn't it?
Yeah.
If your grandma's still doing the punk thing, I can see why your mum would be rebelliously conservative in her dress.
I mean, I don't think she's wearing it every day, but if we ever go on a do or anything, she's got it on. But yeah, she pulls it off, I think.
We've had a couple of people from Sheffield on here before. Tony Pitts was on the first series as an actor from round here. He's a fucking gem of a bloke.
Yeah.
You know Sam Binstead as well, don't you?
Oh, yeah, the photographer guy.
Yeah. I've done a few bits of shoots with him. He's an absolute darling. But yeah, it's a wicked city for fashion. But when you first started going here from Matlock, can you tell us a little bit about what you saw in the city and kind of what you took from that?
There was a skate shop we used to go to on Division Street, which then was a size. I think now it might be a vintage shop called Sumo, and they used to sell like all sorts of stuff like Silas and Stussy and Fenchurch. Remember when Fenchurch was like, it was actually like kind of a cool skate brand for a while, weren't it? Before it got bought out. And I used to always look at that sort of stuff, and they were like one of the first places that had like Nike SB skate shoes, and it was a big shop, or it seemed really big as a kid, and they had a big wall of boards. And I used to go in there and like salivate over all the stuff.
All the shit you've been watching on videos, you can see them in real life.
Yeah, so I suppose there was a bit of a scene there. It seems a bit, not that it's died off, but I think late 90s, very early 2000s in Sheffield had a really good energy. And the skate park on Devonshire Green had just been built, big concrete skate park. And there was a really good atmosphere about the whole place. And I don't want to be negative. I feel like it's gone a bit, I don't know, a bit downhill since. It's not really come on. Like when you look at other cities, they've sort of come on in a big way. Sheffield's always been held back a little bit, and I think what Sheffield misses is like probably like a bit of young money. Like you look at Leeds and you've got like a big financial district. There's a lot of jobs there. And you look at Manchester, there's a lot of jobs there, and you've got like all the big media companies and stuff. Sheffield hasn't really got that industry. Like it obviously used to be big for steel. That's sort of all died out. So it is like lacking a bit of something, But it's still a great place, and it's very like, I suppose it's undercover. There's not much going on, which is kind of the nice thing about it. Yeah.
But I guess as a kid, when you didn't know so much about the economic conditions of the city, coming into it from a small, I mean, now are we talking a bus ride from Matlock?
Yeah, we used to come on the bus. Yeah, I think it was about about £1.20 return. Yeah, so it's probably like an hour or something on the bus.
All right. The bright lights of the city seemed a little bit kind of...
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah. We used to go all over. Like, I can remember like going out skating with my mates and like sleeping in car parks and stuff. Like shit that I don't think kids would do now. But like, you go everywhere. Yeah, it's fun times.
It does seem like a bit of a melting pot city. I mean, we talked a little bit about the hip hop element before. I used to come here. I was well into Kid Acne. He was a wicked Sheffield rapper. I remember coming watching him at a gig upstairs at a pub when I was like 17 or something like that. But I used to come over from Liverpool, where I was at university. There was Sequoia Sound System. I don't know if you know them dudes, man. REA and Jez. Like they built
their own sound systems, didn't they?
Yeah, insane rigs, man. Like, They used to bring that rig over to where I was putting nights on in Liverpool, and I used to come over to their dances in Sheffield. And that was my first experience of this city. And it seemed like kind of... There was people from all walks of life and all nationalities and stuff like that. And I always found that exciting about it.
Yeah, it's got a very DIY sort of vibe to it. Yeah, it's
man.
Good.
Is that something that excited you about it, coming into it? Like the diversity?
Definitely. Yeah, and there was always like good parties and always good things going on. Yeah. No, it is a decent place.
Buzzing, man. And it's still got that buzz today, by the looks of it. I know that sourcing clothes is a big part of your job that you love. I think I've heard in another interview saying selling them's the boring bit. Going and finding them's the one for me.
Yeah, definitely.
Tell us a bit about some of the interesting places that sourcing's taken you.
Yeah, so I've been all over really, like all over Europe and to America, Japan, and loads of places looking. But I think you always find stuff in unexpected places. Some people that might have a shop where they're looking for like, I don't know, 1,000 pairs of Levi's 501 and 500 sweatshirts. It's still probably not easy, but it's kind of quite a basic list and quite easy to do. I'm looking for like individual items. So I get excited by maybe something I've not seen before, or like a fabric I've not seen or a pattern I've not seen. So yeah, it is totally random. But yeah, I've been all over looking for stuff, but then sometimes amazing stuff just comes to you naturally as well. I think the longer you do it, the more stuff that sort of comes back to you naturally without having to put as much work in, I suppose, after
because
a while.
Of the circles that you've built.
Yeah. And you build trust and friendships, and then and get offered a lot of stuff privately now, which I never did before. A lot of emails come through all the time, like, oh, I've got a collection of this that I'm wanting to sell, or I've dug this out, or I found this. So there's a lot of that goes on, which is really great, and I suppose like a real nice organic way of getting killer bits.
Well, in terms of some of the places that you have been, I guess, like, I'd expect you to be going to Italy to find some of the classic Italian sportswear that we've mentioned, or to Japan. Where are some of the more esoteric, odder places that you've found gems?
Yeah, I found something like really weird places. Like we were once in Japan, and me and my girlfriend was like, we'd been in Tokyo, we'd absolutely done our brains in millions of shops. And she's like, right, we need to go somewhere and like relax, go to the countryside somewhere. So we went on the bullet train, and we was like, literally in the middle of nowhere, and it was so funny. I felt sorry for this day, but we went into this. It was like a little fruit and vegetable shop to get a drink. So we went and got a cold drink, and no joke, on the shelf was a pair of 1985 Nike Jordan 1s, like OG bread one colours. So I was like looking up. She's like, "What's up with you?" I was like, "Oh, there's some shoes over there." So I even got speaking to the owner and stuff, and it turned out the owner collected vintage. So it was like literally a fruit and veg shop. It's like a health food sort of shop. Had fruit and veg, drinks, and a few bits. So I was like, got these shoes down, started looking at them. And then basically she lost me for about 3 hours. I was in the back room. I've got some video clips of it somewhere. And this place was just full of like killer gear. And I bought like rare t-shirts. I bought those shoes. I bought loads of stuff. And it was just it was literally the most unexpected time to find anything. Yeah, and the shoes were knackered as well, but still got great money for them. Yeah.
So when you go on holidays, is it always an empty suitcase thing? Like, this is going to happen, or do you have to buy extra luggage?
Yeah, I've learned, I think, now. I think what I do now is tend to buy a bag when I'm there and then just book it on. Like last time I went to America, just bought a big North Face bag at the Rose Bowl. You might not find anything, and then you've wasted your money. So you usually just take one bag out there and then just book on multiples, and then just, bag it up, or buy a cheap bag from somewhere, like a cheap nylon bag, Ziploc bag. I've used all sorts over the years. I've even had like IKEA bags that have been wrapped and stuff, and just book an extra bag on and bring it back, usually, or ship it back. Yeah.
I think I've heard you talk on another podcast about the kind of like European workwear thing is a French market. Has that been rich pickings for you before, going over to there and buying it at source, or do you buy it from somewhere else?
And also a lot of French guys that used to bring stuff over, like pre-Brexit. There was a lot of good gear coming over, and like some of the stuff started off so cheap because the French never really wanted that gear. It was sort of got made cool or trendy, I suppose, by people in the UK and in London and stuff.
Yeah.
So like the French never really wanted the French workwear for a long time, so it was so ridiculously cheap.
I mean,
like,
it's not going to be exotic to them, is it?
No,
Like,
I think they probably remember their dad and granddad wearing it. But like, there was one guy, and he started off his stuff. I never got to him this early, but his stuff was like €1 to start off with. But I'm talking like killer stuff, like turn of the century stuff, and like old linen workwear and work smocks and amazing gear. And then it started going up. Then it was like €10, then like €20, and then before you know it, he was like asking like 70, €80. And like, if you know, normal people looked at it, they'd be like, what the fuck is this dog shit? It's knackered, it's patched up to hell. But like some really interesting like killer stuff.
Wow.
So yeah, some of that stuff has become super collectible.
It's like Bitcoin inflation rates,
yeah.
isn't it?
But then it goes on and off trends, so it's like popular for a bit, and then at the minute I suppose it's kind of gone off the boil a bit. But a couple of years ago it was really hot, and like a lot of people wanted it. It was really popular in Japan, so you've got to keep your eye on it and not invest too heavily in certain stuff, because it can be really popular one minute, and then the next minute no one really wants it. So
yeah,
there's lots of like, I suppose, little micro trends that come and go during through the second-hand market.
And I guess that's a big part of your job then, isn't it? That kind of trend forecasting thing, just having the ear to the ground and the eye on what is and isn't popping, and what will be and won't be popping in the next year. Like,
yeah, and I think the clue is, though, which sounds mad, is not to really pay any attention to it, because if you pay too much attention to it, you're never going to win, and you always just feel like you're trying to catch up, or or like trying to please the crowd. And like, I remember many years ago doing it with a Japanese buyer that wanted, I think it was something like English Scout shirts. So can you imagine how hard it is to find like a Boy Scout shirt from the 50s, but he wanted like 30 of them. So I saved like 30 of these shirts, or however many it was. And then when he came, he just went, oh no, I don't want them anymore. It's like, oh,
broken the code.
Yeah, he broke the code massively. But like, things like that. So if you're trying to like do something for someone else, it never gets you. I think if you just pick your own edit, people are buying into what you like. And same with anything, same like going into your favorite record shop or bookstore, or a restaurant, you're going off what you think the chef says good, and that's, I suppose it's the same with a clothes shop. Like, you go off what that buyer's bought in, don't you?
Yeah, man, exactly.
I think that's the way to do it.
When I go to a restaurant, I can't think of anything better than saying, you choose for me. You give me the thing that is the best thing that you have. Like, yeah, definitely. And I guess that's the clothing equivalent of it.
Yeah, like I say, like if you go to, and it works well with modern clothes as well. You go to a modern clothing store and you know the owner, and he's got a good edit of stuff. You're probably going to like everything in there.
Yeah.
But if you go into somewhere that's selling like them t-shirts that say like "Fear of God" on or whatever, probably not. You might be into it, but they're mad, them tops, aren't they? They're everywhere. But yeah, like, you're probably not going to want anything. But yeah,
that's not me.
So what you wear these days seems to draw from a lot of different sources and aspects and inspirations, and to the layperson, it probably seems quite experimental. But have there been any periods that you look back on when you've been kind of finding this experimental style and you think, what the fuck was I wearing there?
Yeah, I think nowadays I just try and dress quite comfortably as well, and just something easy that I can chuck on. And buying and selling second-hand clothes is actually not a very glamorous job. It's quite a dirty job, and you're always like cleaning something or down on your hands and knees, doing laundry. So like, I try and wear just comfortable stuff that can be worn and fixed if it needs to be. But yeah, I suppose, going back to what we said earlier, the worst looks I've probably had is when I've gone too head to toe, like vintage. It's like, it's an awful look. It doesn't really suit anyone. Maybe the odd person, maybe 1 in 100. But like when you're too hardcore wearing head to toe vintage, I think I seen a photo of me once and I had like, I don't know, some like trickish boots on, and then like some old like 30s French work pants with like a hunting jacket, and it's too conjured, I think, and it's like you've overcooked it. You know what I mean? You've overcooked the broth. It's quite a bad, unnatural look.
Yeah, there's no coolness. There's no like what's the sprezzatura, the Italian kind of effortless style. It's obviously effort.
Yeah, I think you're trying too hard, and it's like a bit like, it's too conjured up, and I think you've got to feel comfortable as well, haven't you? You've got to feel natural. Yeah. So there's been a few bad moves over the years, I reckon, definitely. Or like maybe like even just the fit. Sometimes you buy something because you absolutely love it, or you love the idea of it. It looks great on a hanger, but it just doesn't suit you, that shape or style. Like certain things you can't. Not everything works for you, I suppose. Yeah.
And are you into dirty clothes, because like I've started thinking, like, I've got cream pants on today. I don't know if you can see them on the camera, but
They look pretty clean.
they're pretty clean, but I'm trying to get them dirtier, man. Like I wore them on my mate's stag do in Barcelona a couple of weekends ago, because I knew they'd get a bit dirty, and I've got like a subtle red wine stain on the inside. This here, like, it's subtle, and like, you know, I'm looking at that and I think, well, that was from that ace time I had in Barcelona with my mates. So I'm trying to get them dirty with stories, if you know what I mean. And
I could have them ruined in no time. Yeah, no, I do mash my stuff up as well. I'm not really one for looking after stuff. Like, my stuff is all pretty worn because I've hammered a lot of it. A lot of my stuff's like ripped or fixed or damaged. But I've got certain favourite coats that I've bought duplicates of. Like, I've got this old Stone Island Marina like long coat, and I've got a few different versions of it, and I've mashed it to hell. I've got like a backup for when that one's completely threadbare. So
but you probably end up finding that you like the one that is mashed up more than the fresher one.
But then certain stuff looks better crisp, and then certain stuff looks better worn in. Like, I do think you can't beat a crisp shirt. Like a nice shirt that you've had made or something like that is really nice. Yeah,
I guess that all feeds into that juxtaposition that you're on about, the old and the new being together. If you can wear something old and fucked with a crisp thing underneath it, there's a tension between them, isn't there?
Yeah, like you've got to make yourself feel alive every now and again by treating yourself to something new. Dip your beak in the yolk. Yeah.
Whereabouts on your body does the newness normally reside? Is it new trainers with old top bit, or is it a new crisp shirt with battered old workwear?
Yeah, I suppose a mix really. Yeah, I get the odd new thing, like odd new jacket, odd new pair of trousers or something like that. Yeah, but not too often these days. Yeah, but every now and again you find something nice that's modern that you think that's actually worth buying. But I think a lot of this stuff, like, I don't know if you've ever been to one of them trade shows like of menswear. Like, went to one in Paris. It might have been early this year. Yeah, early this year. I bumped into a mate of mine, Max. He works for a clothing brand, and he's a big vintage collector and into vintage. And one thing he said that just stuck out is like we stood on like a balcony bit, and he just said, "Look at it all just looks the same." And I suppose that's the problem. A lot of it does just look the same, and it's just like maybe reimagined in the same way, but it's just like it's all the same fabric, and I don't know. Like, that's one thing that they've never been able to replicate. Right, like certain old fabrics are just insanely good that you don't seem to get them again. They don't seem to wear in the same way. So you look at like a beautiful old linen work jacket or something, and then you look at a modern one. I don't know. The old one gives you a sort of feeling that you can't describe, whereas the new one's just like, it's all right. But it doesn't quite cut the mustard.
Do you think that is objective? Is it the material itself, or is it the kind of the magic that's in it because you know it's old? Because do you think it is something you can quantify with the stitch density, or is it something?
I don't know. It depends what you're into. If you look at like an old Barber jacket from the 50s, like one of the really early ones, it's fucking insanely good. Like the quality, the fabric, the way it's made, the lining, everything about it is insanely good, but probably without trying to be good, because it was just like for work or for use. But like the build is amazing. Same with like really old workwear. You look at it and it does give you a certain feeling. I think the way that things have been dyed as well, I don't know, it is a bizarre thing. Yeah.
I put this top. This is
nice. Is it an old bit of merino?
Yeah, I don't know how old, but I put it in the wash just so I could wear it this week for the first time after I bought it secondhand. It's fucking ruined so much.
Really?
It's just leaked over everything.
Like, it's like the dye's leaked?
The dye, I had a lovely pinstripe shirt that I got from my mate Steve at Owl's store, which is wrecked. It wrecked another Stone Island Marina t-shirt, a few pairs of socks, like everything that was in with it, man. Like, and it's my fault, don't wash navy blue shit with other
that's
things.
Mad though. I
don't know. Like,
that's
is it
mad that's happened? Yeah,
over dyeing, or I don't know.
Well, a lot of their stuff was garment dyed,
right?
Stone Island. So they make it all in white first, and then they garment dye it in different colours. And it sounds like you do actually get a different finish and almost a better look. And it sounds like they're doing it as like a unique part of the garment to make it look better. But a lot of the time it's to do with like waste. So if you buy like loads of fabric, let's say you buy, I don't know, X amount of meters of yellow and X amount of meters of purple or whatever, you might end up with lots of wastage of colours that aren't so popular.
Yeah.
But if you're garment dyeing it, then you can obviously make the right amount of colours. Like you're probably more likely to sell more blue and black and grey than you are like bright pink. But you can do the exact amount. So let's say you make 500 pieces, you can do 30 in pink, and then you can do the mix of how you want it. So it's quite a clever way of sort of saving fabric and saving, wasted stock, I suppose. Yeah.
Sick.
I think that's a big reason why companies use the garment dyeing technique, but it does also create a unique look as well. Finish.
Yeah, or it takes differently to the different things it's adhering to.
Yeah, and I think that's why Osti was so ahead of his time. Like I was speaking to a guy that developed fabric in the 80s and 90s, and he said, I can't remember the exact temperatures, but I think at the time he was saying like, we was garment dyeing stuff or dyeing fabrics at certain temperature, and they were just dyeing it like 120 degrees hotter or something. So like he did come up with lots of techniques that I suppose left that legacy that he's got today. Yeah, like he was definitely doing stuff that was way ahead of his time.
I've heard that turn of phrase a million times before and never really known that it was for saving material or creating other looks.
Obviously it is creating a different look as well, but I think a big reason behind it is that you can obviously do the correct quantities of whichever colours you want. It's like it's massively beneficial as well, yeah. And it saves you sourcing all them different fabrics as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess, like, I noticed when I took this out of the wash, like, it's got these weird, like, lines.
Yeah.
I'm into that. Like, it looks like I've worn it and washed it in a certain way, like,
It's fine on the top, but that's the worst thing you want on a pair of jeans. Do you know, like the vertical lines on jeans? Like, so if you ever washing jeans, I always do them separately.
Yeah.
Like inside out separately, and then you've got plenty of space to breathe in the machine, because like when you end up with them vertical lines, they're a bit annoying, aren't they?
What do you reckon it's from, where it's folded up in the washer?
It's just from where it's been sort of crunched up, but it looks all right on that, doesn't it?
You live and learn, don't you?
You've just ruined all your other gear. Yeah. Oh well.
They're only clothes, aren't they?
Yeah.
On the subject of experimentalism, which I mentioned in that last question, you must have had some pretty mad items pass through your hands over the years. Can you tell us about some of the strangest, oddest ones that you've bought and sold?
I bought a cape that belonged to John Lennon once, which is pretty nuts. Yeah, which I've actually still got.
What's it look like? What kind of cape?
So it's like a black cape, like a black wool cape made by a famous tailor on Carnaby Street called Lord John. I actually want to sell it, to be honest. Probably now, because I've had it for years. So cut a long story short, I don't know if you know much about Lord John.
Nothing, man.
But Lord John was like, during that swinging 60s sort of era, he made stuff for everyone, like all the greats. Everyone right through, and obviously made a lot of stuff for the Beatles, and he made a cape for Lennon before he was shot, and he never picked it up, so it lived in the office at Lord John for all them years. And there's an amazing interview on YouTube that you could probably maybe ought to put a link to it or something. Definitely. And it's a guy called Terry Rawlings speaking to not Lord John himself but his son. And he's going on about this cape, and the cape's in the background, and he even pulls a hair off it at one point. He's like, it's one of John Lennon's hairs. So it's quite funny. So it's a real story. And I heard about this cape, and my mate basically did the clearance on that shop. When that shop closed down, he cleared the shop, and I was like ringing him up, like, what happened to the cape? He's like, I've got the cape. So I managed to, cut a long story short, I managed to buy the cape. So it was something he was fitted for, but he never wore it in public. So it's not like, if it was like in one of the ones out of the videos or something, it'd be insane value. So I'm not quite sure what it's worth. But yeah, that's a pretty cool piece. Yeah, Lennon's cape.
Have you ever managed to work that into one of your outfits?
I think I did wear it once somewhere. I can't remember where it was, but I think I wore it and someone was like, what's that? And I was like, it's John Lennon's cape. And they were like, yeah. And I just kind of went, oh yeah. But like, in the back of my head, I was thinking, it actually is.
I don't know what kind of occasion you wear a cape to, is it?
No. I've got a few old capes, but yeah, it's a funny one. But that's like, it's the sort of thing that needs to go into auction. But I spoke to this Terry Rawlings guy and asked, like, further provenance. And he's like, oh yeah, like, it's definitely bang right. And Warren, the guy that's in the video, actually sadly passed away. They was going to relaunch Lord John and everything, and as they were going to relaunch, he passed away. But I managed to speak to Terry not that long ago, and he was like, and I said, look, if I do auction it, were you happy to, like, give me some fragments of the video and like do a letter and stuff? And he was like, well, yeah, he was well up for it. He couldn't believe that I owned it. Yeah, so it's funny.
Proper piece of history.
But then what else have I had that's pretty cool? another cool thing I had, which is really nice, that I sold to the vintage showroom in London years ago, was an old Sheffield Egyptologist suit, which was like an archaeology suit, and it had an old label in it that was the guy's name, and it was made in. It was probably like just post turn of the century, probably like 1910s, something like that, and it was like a sort of a curved sack-shaped jacket with +4s. And that's pretty interesting.
What colour? Like pyramid colour?
Yeah, like the tan sort of colour. Yeah, pyramid colour. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So what makes an Egyptologist jacket? Has it got room for like a mummy slaying steak?
Yeah, probably.
Like
but I always thought it was like
gas lamp hook or something.
Yeah, I always thought it was a bit bad juju, that piece. So it's like everyone died, didn't they, on them excavations?
Yeah,
there's like weird shit happened to them all, didn't it?
Oh yeah, curse to fuck, man.
Yeah.
Have you ever noticed anything uncanny going on?
No, it's gone now. So yeah, it's a cool piece. Well,
pass the curse on to someone else.
Yeah, but I suppose it's always nice when you get something that's got like a little story or where it come from or something with original photographs that comes with it. But there's been a lot of stuff over the years, I think.
So I know that selling gear is your main thing that you do out of Rag Parade here in Sheffield, but do you do other stuff within the world of clothes, like hiring stuff out, consulting, like archive, historian type of stuff?
Yeah, so over the years of doing the job, I've built up quite a collection of stuff that I've decided not to sell for certain reasons or whatever. So yeah, I do quite a lot of rentals for like fashion brands and stuff. So rented a lot of stuff out.
What do they want it for? So they can look at the patterns and things, or so they can use it in shoots, or
well, mainly for like inspiration. So like might be for a pocket detail, or the way the shape of something, or the fabric, or the pattern, or the colour. So yeah, basically, pretty much anything new is designed from something old or referenced from something old.
Yeah.
So they're just looking for unique things that they might not have seen before, or something they might not have in their own archive. So yeah, I've done quite a lot of that, renting to a lot of brands over the years, and stuff like that. And then also done like lectures at university, which has been pretty cool.
One of the ones around here?
I've done like Sheffield University and Manchester Uni and London College of Fashion as well. So it's quite cool for someone that never went to university or never studied to be asked to do stuff like that, and then taking pieces of my own archive in and talking about the history of the fabric, or what the jacket was developed for. That was pretty cool. Very scary. I'm quite a confident person, quite hyperactive, not too shy, but like in that, I remember the first time I did it, getting up there and there's like 30 kids that are just all staring at you. It was pretty scary. I was like, I lost my shit for a bit, and then I think I made one crap joke, and then made everyone sort of laugh a little bit, and then managed to bring it all back in, and it went pretty well. But yeah, it was proper nerve wracking. Like standing in front of people is quite a daunting thing, isn't it?
Like, especially in that dusty, dry academic world. Maybe them universities aren't like that, but there's something about it that's like a towering institution that if you didn't go to uni, it'd be frightening.
Oh, it was pretty scary, but then I got into it and I was like, I actually really enjoyed it. So I ended up doing it quite a few times, but I've not done any recently. But yeah, I didn't mind doing stuff like that. It's pretty cool. And then I've done stuff for other brands and stuff, and like helped make videos and stuff like that, and consulted on different jobs and picked out certain things and fabrics and stuff. So I've done quite a bit of that over the years, like just I suppose by accident, just organically. Yeah, I've not really ever pushed it or tried to promote it, but I think when you've been surrounded by them things and you have a knowledge in certain areas, sometimes people want to put that to use.
Yeah, definitely, man. Tell us, you mentioned it in the bonus content, but tell us a bit about the stuff you've done with CP, because they wanted you to go over to Milan, right? And you've worked with them on something else other than that? Or? Yeah,
so we did the book thing together, where we did the launch, and it was quite nice because there's quite a few friends in there as well throughout the book. So my friend Ollie was in there from Too Hot Limited.
Okay,
he also does vintage. We've been on like buying trips together and stuff in the past, and he's a top lad, and he actually ended up being on the cover, which is pretty cool. And he's now he's still doing a bit of vintage, but he's now doing I think he's working with a lot of brands and making videos and stuff. So that was quite cool. But recently they hit me up and wanted me to. I think that basically I thought that the world of social media and Instagram and stuff, that to get more reach now you have to do videos and stuff. So me and Dan at work have been playing around making reels and videos and stuff. When we first did it, it was disastrous. We felt like two granddads with a mobile phone, and we're not very tech savvy. We don't have a computer at work. We haven't got laptops. We're very bare bones, old school. So it's pretty difficult. But then I think like the videos have maybe got marginally better. So like CP emailed us and said, "Oh, we really love these videos that you've been making with the narration, talking about the history of the garments and maybe like the inspiration behind them or whatever. We'd love you to do some for us." So they sent us like 7 jackets from their new collection, and we spoke about the history and what inspired them and stuff like that. So that's a pretty cool thing to get asked to do. Yeah,
man, must be really vindicating that you've been selling this stuff for a long time and it gets noticed. But I mentioned before we started rolling that your social output is just really like joyful, and I think that translates to people watching it and people want a part of that. So if you don't follow JoJo, then at JoJo,
Rag Parade Sheffield,
Parade Sheffield, man. It's like it's a constant onslaught of class content, but
lots of stuff. Yeah,
never a dull day in the shop by the looks of it.
Yeah, and I think when you're into old stuff or you're into whatever you do, whether it's new stuff or you're into cars or whatever, sport, whatever it is, I think if you're into it, you live and breathe it, and it becomes more than just a job. You know, it's like you're constantly doing it and you're constantly at it. And I've got friends that do like maybe similar to me, they might do antiques or they might do furniture and something, and it's that same sort of thing where you're addicted to it. And I think a good way that someone put it to me, a guy that I know, Dave, who's completely crackers, but he used to own Planet X bikes. He's an interesting character. But yeah, he says what I do, he says, well, it's mad, I don't know why you do it, it's not scalable, like you can't make it any bigger. And I was like, well, I don't really need it to be, I'm not bothered, I don't want a ton of money, I just enjoy what I do. But he says you're addicted to the dopamine hit, and it's like what he means by that is like the dopamine hit of finding something amazing, and that's it. Like you're constantly trying to find something that buzzes you out more than the last thing you found, and that doesn't even necessarily have to be a jacket. It could be an object, it could be a watch, a clock, or an old sign, or a bit of paperwork. But yeah, it's I suppose you're like constantly addicted to finding something that you've not seen before. It's quite it's a bit of, that's where the rush comes from, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, man. Thrill of the chase.
Yeah.
Top 3 selected.
I know you get a load of vintage military stuff in at the shop, so can you give me a top 3 best dressed armies of all time, please?
Oh, nice. See, I don't really like the uniform sort of side of it, even though I've like had that sort of stuff in, but like the more like traditional like trench coats and all that sort of stuff, that doesn't really do it for me. I'm more into like the casual stuff, like the pullover smocks and the anoraks and some of the more like, I suppose, the softer looking stuff. Yeah, but obviously some of the old British Army World War II stuff's amazing. Like like the classic British Army windproof pants and stuff like that. Just simple, straight up and down design. 1 patch pocket on the leg, side entry pockets. That's a classic.
And is this the kind of stuff they wouldn't have been wearing when they're scrapping? The more that they'd be wearing like when they were chilling out in the...
Well, it depends, like different versions. But yeah, I always like the mountain stuff, the fully windproof shit.
Okay.
Like, pull over the head anoraks and stuff like that. So, but like all that weird Nazi looking shit, I'm not really bothered about that. Like battle dress and all that wool uncomfortable stuff.
Okay.
It's more the softer sort of stuff. And I think it's probably like how it's evolved as well over all them years. Like, World War II is a long time ago. A lot of it's been washed and aged really nicely. So, yeah, some of that stuff is, I suppose it was built to last, wasn't it?
And talking about stories, fucking hell, like there's going to be some deep, heavy stories baked into that kind of gear, isn't there?
Yeah,
like,
probably best not to think about something.
Yeah, you don't want to glorify it. But like,
no.
It's,
but I think that the reason why military clothing is so iconic and so referenced is because a lot of like, even though like war's a terrible thing and it's awful, like things get sped up during war,
man,
because they've only got X amount of time. So like things get developed a lot quicker than they would normally. Whereas like, you look at like the US military during World War II, the amount of jackets they had was crazy. I mean, we didn't really have much. We was like peasant version. We had like a few flight jackets and they had like hundreds. But I suppose they had to develop stuff so quickly and so rapidly, and like ideas come out of there like from a design point of view that might have not come out naturally so easily, which is pretty interesting, I suppose. Yeah.
So do they get into your top 3 then? Like World War II American aviation jackets?
Yeah, some of the American stuff's really cool. But I do like all European stuff as well. So I say UK, US, and France. Because some of the French stuff is pretty cool as well. Yeah,
all the goodies.
Yeah, yeah. But just from a uniform sort of point of view. But there was some amazing German jackets and amazing jackets from everywhere, I suppose.
Yeah,
like really well designed stuff, like from all over. And some of the more niche countries. I mean, some of my favourite stuff at the minute is the old Czechoslovakian stuff. Like some of the old camouflages that they use were like absolutely wild. Yeah, so pretty cool. But then annoyingly, I've been buying that stuff on the quiet for quite a long time and sort of stashing it away and selling it under the counter, but it's become a bit popular now, so everyone's sort of cottoned on a little bit.
Czech military wear.
Yeah, it's pretty. Yeah, some nice bits. Yeah,
Get that typed into Vinted.
yeah. I don't think much will come up.
So people see all the vids on socials that we talked about. When they come into a shop, they see all the amazing products, but there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes that people don't see. Can you tell us a little bit about the kind of day-to-day grind of running a kind of vintage shop?
So obviously, I usually get up early. I've got a kid now, so
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so he's free. So like today, for example, I dropped him at nursery, and then get into work, go and usually do the postage and all that sort of stuff, and the day-to-day routine, and then obviously you got the whole buying side of it. So it's like it's constantly changing. It's always different. So every day is different, or there might be a collection to go and look at, or someone might bring something to me, or I have to go and buy a load of stuff. So we bought a couple of really nice collections last week, which were pretty cool. I bought a really nice collection of old Osty stuff on Saturday off a guy, like one man's collection of like old CP and Stone Island jackets and stuff. There was a video on Instagram of the stuff the other day in a box, and then earlier in the week on the Thursday bought an amazing collection of gear off a guy that was like moving house and downsizing. It was like a real mix of stuff, but what's so great about buying it off an individual as well, the size is going to be pretty good.
Yeah,
it's all fit that one guy.
All right.
So it's going to be a pretty generic size, really. When you're buying stuff out in the wild, you might find something extra small or something massive, and so size is important.
Okay, so are you liking the routine of like your kid getting you up at a certain time, then you've got to get into the shop and do the kind of nuts and bolts of postage and stuff?
I try not to work as much as I used to.
Yeah.
So I try not to be there every single day. But yeah, it's once I'm at work, I try and sort of have like a set routine of what I do. So there'll be a bit of laundry going on, some photography, putting some images up, and then if it's a really busy day, you're just focusing on the shop and the customers, which is in an ideal world what you want to be happening. But I think nowadays it's like you need to push that sort of online side to get people in, because, for example, some guy came in yesterday morning and he just walked straight in the shop. It's like, oh, I've seen a 10C jacket you put online. Can I try it on? Tried it on. Yeah, I'll take it. Done. So if it wasn't for that prompt that he'd had, he might not have called in that day. You know what I mean? In that he came straight for that jacket, didn't look at anything else, tried it on and left. And that's, I suppose that's one of the positives of the internet. You know?
So you got another half at the shop, right? Who's there looking after things while you're here doing this podcast?
Dan, which is
big up
top,
Dan.
Yeah, big up Dan, top lad. Yeah, so he's a grafter. Dan actually studied fashion buying at university, but and he's ended up working with me, and he's been great. Been with us for quite a few years now. So he looks after the contemporary side of the business, doing the modern stuff and shoots all that stuff, and deals with a lot of that stuff and some of the vintage stuff as well. So he's like really knowledgeable guy, and it's pretty good. He's got his own customers and stuff. So like I'll walk in the shop one day and I'm nipped out to somewhere, and I'd be like, oh, who's that guy? Oh, he's been in loads of times. So it's quite nice that he's built up his own customers as well. I might not even know them, and he's he's a super nice guy. Probably more level than me and a bit easier to deal with, a bit more calm.
Both in what you sell in the shop and what you wear yourself, you've got a kind of foot in the past and a foot in the future. But what current and future fashion trends or movements are exciting you at the moment?
I don't know, actually, because I know it sounds mad, and probably everyone says it. It sounds a bit cliche, but I don't really look at anything. I sort of just go off what I've always known and just sort of work on top of that. So I'm just looking for. I suppose it's more of the same but different, if that makes sense. So just variations of stuff or things I haven't seen before, and or maybe looking for a new haul of stuff. So it's just sort of like trudging along and seeing what you can find. It's just totally random. Like when someone says, oh, what are you looking for at the minute? If it's like someone that's got some stuff for sale, it's really hard to answer that because you don't really know until you see it. So it's a tough thing with secondhand, because if you're doing new stuff, you can see what colours there is and how many have been made and how many to order. But like with the secondhand stuff, it's just like, it's a bit up and down and a bit random,
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I guess you're kind of, it's inherently in the past, isn't it? But it's about recontextualizing it, I guess, for a future audience, and you're making the trends rather than following them.
Yeah, hopefully.
But for the business itself, is there anything in the pipeline? Any like exciting collabs, or any? Are you visiting any other fairs in the near future?
Yeah, I mean, like, I've always liked the idea of doing like a book about like my archive and stuff, and I've had a couple of meetings with a few people about that, like maybe doing something along them lines in the future. But it's a hell of a lot of work. Like, you think of it of like, oh yeah, it'll be easy to do that, but it's so much work. But it'd be really nice to do something like that, and like maybe have something physical in front of, like, I suppose it's like the body of work that you've always worked towards, and it doesn't have to necessarily even be your own stuff. It could be a mix of stuff. Like, you could even use other images and speak about it of other people's archives and stuff. So maybe do something like that in the future, but I'm not sure. So
big weighty coffee table tome, 40 quid.
Yeah, 48 quid.
Yeah,
plus that.
It's nuts what they cost, isn't it? Them big picture books, like, but they are beautiful. And
you've got to look at them though. I think a lot of people buy them and just don't look at them, don't they? They just have them like as a shelf piece. But yeah. Important to read your books.
Cheers, Dad.
Yeah.
Final question for you, Jojo. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you care about clothes?
Yeah, it's hard on that. I don't think I can sort of put it on a scale, because it's sort of it's in the blood, isn't it? It runs through your blood. It's weird, because it's like, as I'm getting older, I really, really care about them, but then also at the same time I don't really give a shit, because I often think, well, I'm going to be dead one day. What does it really matter? But I don't know. That's me being bleak, innit?
It's true though.
Yeah. I'd say 8.5.
All right.
8.5. Do I have to put it? Is that a number?
That's a good number, man.
Yeah.
That's a good number.
Because I think there's other things as well. So, yeah.
I guess now you've got a kid, maybe that's taking another half point off.
It notched it down a bit, yeah. So, 8, maybe 8.5, 9, yeah.
All right.
I don't want to be full 10, because that's like weird obsessive. Yeah.
Yeah, it's more to you than that, man.
Yeah.
Thanks a million for doing it, dude.
Thank you very much. It's been very emotional. Handshake through the middle.
I think you got strong hands, man.
They're just big. I don't think they're strong. They're just big.
Yes, what a guy. I love that one, and I hope you lot did too. Thanks to Jojo for the time, and thanks to the lovely people at Eve's Kitchen for the brews and the recording space. Now, I've not really mentioned it on here, but what do you reckon to the new recording setups for this series? Instead of booking a hotel out and getting the guests to come to us, we've been getting about the country and setting up where our guests are at. Do you reckon it's better? Prefer it the old way? Let us know in the comments or in the reviews. Would love to hear what you think. Okay, you know the drill. We'll drop another mini episode with Jojo in a couple of days, so make sure you subscribe to the feed for that one, because it's a banger. See you back here for that.